Welcome to GameHead, everyone. My name is Johnny, and welcome to the very first episode of my show here for all your gaming needs and news on everything gaming related. So let's just jump right into it. Yesterday, some shit went down, and it was some serious shit. Um, Sony held a press conference, and the only words I have to describe it, I have four words. What the fuck, Sony? Like, you had such a chance. And in my opinion, you blew it. Now, the conference started off very well, with Andrew House walking on stage and trying to introduce everything. But before we get to that, let's take a trip down memory lane. Let's go back to, approximately E3. And there were rumblings about something known as PlayStation Neo at the time. Now, there weren't too much details about it at the time, obviously, because it was just rumors. But some of the rumors going on were big things. I mean, yeah, they had the 4K gaming, the 4K gaming capability. Um, Also said to have a 4K Blu-ray player. Um, I can't remember everything off the top of my head. They said something like 4 times the graphic processing power of the current PlayStation 4, which I thought was a long shot in my eyes. Now, I'm mainly PC game, so I know a lot about. I don't mean to toot my own horn or anything, but I know a lot about computation and how it progresses through the years, like the speeds of everything. And I just didn't see how since 2014 or 13, even if it is 2013, from 2013 to 2016, how we could quadruple the graphics power. Now I do understand in the PC world, from the GTX 900 series to the GTX 10 series, there's a big jump there. But again, we're not talking PC, we're talking console. And I did not see how it was going to jump that much. Now, we can sit here and debate these rumors time and time and time and time again. So as I'm waiting for this console or this conference to start. And I'm thinking about at E3, Microsoft comes up and they showcase the Xbox One S, and then they drop this bomb on us about this Scorpio. And after watching that, I thought to myself, that's how you do it. That's how you unveil something, do it right, and give the gamers what they want and deserve in a game platform. I thought Microsoft nailed it. Now, I'm not a Microsoft fanboy. I just want to say that right now. If anything, I'm a Sony fanboy. In console gaming, I'm all about Sony. Now, when after that conference was over, I just got so stoked. I'm like, yes, Sony's bringing out a new console, and if Microsoft did that good, I can't wait to see what Sony has. Well, yeah, you done fucked up. So, Andrew House comes on the stage, and he starts kind of getting in um, his conference mode, as I'd call it. Andrew House, for those of you that don't know, is the president of Sony Worldwide. Um, so here at the conference, I am showing footage of right now. He gets up and he's talking about what is possible with the PlayStation. There he's talking 40 million units sold worldwide, which is phenomenal. It's almost double of what Xbox One has done so far. I'm a believer in Sony. I am. And then they introduce and show off the PlayStation 4 Slim, which we already knew was a real thing. Now, going forward, yes, this is going to be Sony's um, their normal PlayStation 4 from now on. So, don't worry if you have an old PS4, it's not going to affect anything. We'll get into that here in a few minutes. But they showed that off and say, okay, this is going to be our normal PS4 from now on. And they're talking about all the stuff it does. It's a PS4. If you have a PS4, whether it's a slim or an old model, it's the same thing. They just made it smaller. That's all they did. Which, don't get me wrong, if I was looking to buy a console and seeing this, as you can see, $299 for the Slim. That's $100 cheaper than I bought my PS4 for 2 years ago. I didn't buy mine at launch because I was a broke motherfucker, and I still am. But I paid $399 for my console. So if this is the regular PS4 for $299, I'm enticed. So now when I hear about this Neo, as they were bringing rumors on about it, I get very, very interested now. So then we get Andrew House talking about all of the possibilities about it. So then, us fanboys are really starting to get excited. Now, he did a very good job of getting into a conference mode, explaining what Sony's plan for the future is. And me, I'm thinking, okay, now this is something that I could get behind for sure. Then something just happened after that. I don't know how to explain it. Like, literally, look at me, I'm scratching my head because that's how I felt. Something happened. The console it's like someone just fucking punched it right in the chest and knocked the fucking wind out of it. Because after that, it just kind of died. The next presenter, who I feel so stupid now, I cannot remember his name. Oh, man. Oh, shit. All you guys are going to make fun of me now because I can't remember this. I had it right before I started this. Oh, my God. Well, besides the point, another one of Sony's, he's the head architect designer on the PlayStation 4. So he's in charge of designing the whole architecture of how the PlayStation 4 works. So I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be a lot of technical talk. And it was. But when the guy talks, he almost seems like he's reading you a bedtime story. And that's not a joke. Now, I don't have any of the audio on any of my clips for licensing reasons. I don't want to do that and get in trouble with Sony or anything like that. So he gets into talking about the differences, essentially, between current gen running on 1080p to this new console, um, which right before he came out, Andrew House told us this is the PlayStation 4 Pro. I heard that. I'm very curious at this point because he said it's for our more hardcore gamers. I'm thinking to myself, I'm a pretty fucking hardcore gamer if you ask me. So I'm thinking, okay, this could be for me. All right, all right, all right, all right. But then this is where it just lost all steam. Don't get me wrong, the gentleman did a very good job of explaining it. Okay, so the first thing we get is a screen that launches up where it shows us the PlayStation 4 Pro. These are some of the things it is going to do display-wise. You have your 4K TV, your HDR, high dynamic range, for those of you that don't know, the regular HD TVs that most of us have now, and then for the fall, the PlayStation VR, which by the way they barely touched on at all, and I was pretty let down about that, seeing as I'm very, very, very interested in PlayStation VR. Okay, so first they talk about 4K. Essentially, they tell you all of the technical specs, what it is. Okay, essentially, it's twice the resolution as 1080p. Okay, 1080p is, as we know, our standard HD TVs, where 4K, if you want to give it a number, is 2140 or 2160. Sorry, yeah, 21. Yeah, sorry, I'm just fucking out there right now. 2160p. And it just tells us that it's like twice the pixels, 8 million pixels. Okay, what does that do for us? Does the console read discs better? Nope. Does it play better? That depends on what your definition of play is. Now, when I play games, I play for story. I play to be immersed in a world that isn't my own. And this doesn't change the games. This doesn't fix what I believe is the biggest problem in the gaming industry, which is the games themselves. There's too many games blur together nowadays. And too many of them, they don't grip you. They don't pull you in and give you characters that you care about. Not like they used to. Now, I'm not saying all games are like that. Because trust me, there still are games that do that. I'm not saying every game is shit, and I'm not saying every game is the greatest fucking thing ever. They're not. But there are some issues in gaming today. And for someone who plays a lot of them, I can say with, you know, pretty, I can say it very truthfully that I know that this is a huge issue in gaming. So, he goes in and just shows about, and this is where he starts losing people too. Talks about, you know, what your eye can see, all these colors, and how current TVs don't give us all these colors that we can see. Okay, I'm going to stop him right there. And this is where I go on a little bit of a rant. Any of you that saw my Facebook post yesterday, a lot of you people agreed with me. I'm going to bring this back up full screen on my cam again here. If all you're really worried about out of your games is how pretty they look. Buy a PC. Play games on PC. First of all, okay, I know most people's first response, but Johnny, it's so fucking expensive to build a PC. Okay, maybe a high-end one. Just because your Joe Schmo dropped $2,500, $3,000 into his doesn't mean you have to. You can build a pretty decent PC for $500-600. That's not much more than a console, and guess what? That PC is going to run games for a longer period of time than that console will. I can guarantee you that. And almost every game that's released on a console is released on a PlayStation. Yes, there's exclusives. That's a big reason why I still play consoles, are for exclusives. Like I said before, I'm a PC gamer mainly. But I love PlayStation still because they have some of the best exclusives. And this whole PlayStation 4 Pro thing, where they talk about how much prettier it looks. I, I get people want to see the next greatest looking game. I get it. I understand that. But if that's all you care about, go to Best Buy. Go to Newegg.com. Go to some tech website. Start looking at parts. Learn how to put together a gaming PC. It doesn't make sense. Really, it's like all they wanted to do was make it look better. There was no work in this to make the games read, run, or play better. Yes, it plays 4K Blu-rays, but guess what? It doesn't have a 4K Blu-ray player. How about that shit? Yeah, it can stream in 4K. You can still put your regular Blu-ray disc from PlayStation 4 in there, because that's, by the way, all your games are still going to be on the same disc. And it's going to play them on your 4K TV at a different resolution. That's really all it's doing. And again, I just don't see the point. It's such a small niche group of people who currently have 4K TVs. Do me a favor. If you own a 4K TV, put that down in the comments after this video is over. I know a few of my friends, and I know there's people out there that have them. But again, I still think this is such a small niche group of people that have them, where this isn't going to be a huge effect. One other thing that this new console is supporting, it's called HDR, or High Dynamic Range. A lot of cell phones, their cameras already have this. Now, in a camera, it works different than on a television. In a camera, kind of like my iPhone here, when I take a picture, what it'll do is it'll take 3 exposures of that picture I took, take the best parts of that picture, and combine them into one awesome picture. Now, with the televisions, it's taking and brightening up the world, lightening it up, and making it more photorealistic. Now, here's the thing. Yeah, not a lot of 1080p TVs have them, but some do. And if you're one of those lucky people who fall into a group where you don't have a 4K, but your TV supports HDR, and you have either an old PlayStation or a Slim, well, you're in luck. Because next week, Sony is putting out a firmware update that will support the HDR on the old and Slim models of the PlayStation 4. So now, you just took away one of the selling points of the PS4 Pro. You just gave out all this awesome stuff and then shot yourself in the left testy. Because that's really what you just did. You gave a selling point for this console out. Like, here's a main selling point. And then gave it to the rest of us. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. I won't complain one bit. But from a business standpoint, don't you think that's strange? I just really, really think that this is a bad idea. Now, let me give you my suggestion. Excuse me for 1 minute. My suggestion. Wait, if you'd have waited 2, 3 years max, absolute max, come out at your event in December, which is PSX. For those of you that don't know, every December PlayStation holds a big conference called PSX, where they just PlayStation this, feel our balls type conference. And that would have been perfect had they come out, and no leaks came out either. That's a big thing. And they were just like, okay, we have a new console. So now, at this point, you have 2 or 3 years more of technological evolution to put this new technology into a new console. Why not call it PS5? You know, this thought that these console generations have to last 7 years just because the last one did is horseshit. Think about it. PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2. 5 years. 5. Just 5. 1995 to 2000. Then from PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3 was 6 years. I believe, and a game journalist said this yesterday after the show. Someone that in the gaming industry who I trust his opinion very much and agree with him on very, very many things. He made this point yesterday. And by the way, shout out Colin Moriarty and Kind of Funny Games, all you guys over there, fucking awesome. Love what you guys do. But I digress. Colin made a point yesterday that I can't help but agree with. And after I thought of it, I was like, that just makes so much sense. It just blew my mind why I didn't think about this before. He said from the PS3 to the PS4 era, he believes the only reason why it was 7 years was this long was because of the financial crisis. The economic downturn that we in the United States and pretty much the rest of the world had. Developers weren't going to have the money to put forth into all this new development on new technology, and all of those things that go with that. The console creators themselves, at the time, I'm sure they were hemorrhaging money, because pretty much every company was. They weren't going to have the money to put into design, prototype, testing, all that stuff that goes along with it. Because I'm sure that they were hurting just as much as you and I were. And a lot of people probably lost their jobs at those companies. And I do feel bad for that. It's always sad to hear news like that in the game world. But back on topic, just because the last generation lasted so long, We can't just sit here and say that's the new norm. Now, on the contrary, we also can't do kind of what both Microsoft and Sony are doing, where, okay, here's a console. 2 years later, here's an updated, like a .5 version. Like at first, we all thought the PS4 Pro was going to be called the PlayStation 4.5, which is dumb as hell, by the way. But we're almost getting into this iPhone-like atmosphere here. And in consoles, it just doesn't work. These are supposed to be long-term investments. Now, Apple held their thing like they do every year, show their new iPhone. Now, I want to be able to use my console until the next generation. I also own an iPhone, but I know in 3 years, that's shit. But I want to get as much use out of this console as I can. It's a big investment for some people. And it could be, some people don't make a lot of money. It could be a whole month's salary. And they only get to buy a few games a year. So they want this to last as long as they can. They don't want to have to keep saving up and buying a new console year after year after year after year. Now, Sony's said they're future-proofing themselves with this console. Okay, I can dig that. But what about us people that don't have 4K TVs or high dynamic ranged televisions? Yeah, you're adding support to the original PlayStation 4 for high dynamic range, but those of us who have regular HD TVs, you're making it so they might get a few more frames per second out of it, but not much more. I just don't want to be alienated by a company that I have so much faith in. And that's what scares me. I have been with Sony since the PlayStation 1. I admit I jumped off the bandwagon for a year or two with my Xbox 360. But I came right back. Xbox just did not have what I was looking for. And PlayStation just had that. The community, the games, the way their whole architecture works is just on point. I just don't get the whole PS4 Pro. I just don't understand it. It just does not make sense to me at all. Now, if you sat through that whole rant, news I just gave, great. Now, if you have any comments on this, please leave them below. I'll gladly discuss this with each and every one of you. Now, I want to thank you guys for joining in to our very first episode. Real stoked. I was glad I could just get down and dirty with the fucking details of this shit. I'm so glad that I decided to do this page right when something big happened. Now, I'm going to try to do this every day, every other day, depending on what the news cycle is going on. So, check back, and hopefully we'll get something awesome going on here. So, thank you guys so much for stopping by. If you have any thoughts, comments, reactions, leave them down below in the comments, and I'll gladly discuss any of this with you guys. Alright, guys. Thank you so much, and don't forget to like the page.